Hi, I'm Jeff Clark, and as you can see, I lead a really good life. I'm staying right now at this beautiful 5-star luxury resort here in Carlsbad, California. This place has everything. It's got a beautiful golf course, clay tennis courts. It's got this wonderful view of the Taquitos Lagoon. Absolutely fabulous. And I'll tell you what, this isn't the only luxury vacation I've been able to do for the past several years. In fact, if you just join me for a second, come on inside and I'll show you exactly how I do it. So why have I been so fortunate? How come I've been blessed with such a great life? Well, the answer is simple. I quit stocks. That's right. Many years ago, I ditched the rat race. I got tired of watching the markets bouncing all around, up one day and down the next. And I hated worrying about a possible market crash cutting my savings in half, which actually nearly happened at one point. And most importantly, I didn't want to live the rest of my life wondering if I'd ever have enough money to retire. So I said, forget it, I'm trying something else. And it was the best financial decision I've ever made. I completely changed my retirement strategy and I ended up making enough money that I was able to retire at the age of 42. And ever since then, I've been able to pretty much do anything I want, whenever I want. And all the while, thanks to the strategy that I implemented, I continue to make more than enough money to fund my lifestyle and provide for my family. So what's my secret? If I'm not making money from investing in stocks, how am I making money? Well, that's why I put together this short video. I'm going to show you how I did it. And you'll see, I'm not a genius. And truth be told, I really didn't do all that well in school. I've simply come up with a way to make all the money you need to fund a comfortable retirement without touching stocks or owning bonds or dabbling in real estate or really using any conventional retirement vehicle for that matter. And for the first time, I'm sharing all the details on what I call the Zero Stock Retirement Blueprint. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how this blueprint works. You'll see how much money it allows me to make every year, real-life people who are using it as we speak. And of course, I'll also show you the key investment that drives it. Now, I think you'll be surprised when I tell you what it is, and I'm guessing it's probably something you never would have considered. Now, let me give you all the details. As you'll see, this blueprint changed my life, and it can change yours too. And thanks in large part to this type of strategy, I went from being born on a farm in Kansas to living in a beautiful estate overlooking Silicon Valley. And I get to live my life on my own terms. If I want to lounge around the pool all day, I can do that. If I want to take my family on a 2-week trip to Italy, that's not a problem. Heck, if I feel like it, I can charter a boat and cruise up and down the California coast. And why wouldn't I? After all, when you're not juggling a large portfolio of stocks, you don't have to be glued to your computer all day. You have time to enjoy life. I'm able to go to all my kids' sports games. I watch all the baseball I want. And most importantly, I have all the cash I need. And that's because, thanks to this type of strategy, I'm able to make money just about every day. And in fact, in a typical year, I get paid more than 200 times. And how often you get paid will be up to you. And I'm not the only one. You see, I've been helping everyday people use versions of this blueprint for years now, and the results have been amazing. Chuck Reddick says he made a quick and easy $1,100 in a month just experimenting with it. And thanks in part to my strategy, Stuart Middle says, I would venture to say my total gain is very conservatively $50,000 plus per year. Oh, and get this, Grant Reynolds says it helped him make as much as $310,000 in about 9 months. Now, these people aren't professionals. They're not wearing Armani suits and working in corner offices on Wall Street. They're regular folks. They're everyday people living in neighborhoods, probably a lot like yours. And there's only one difference between them and you. And they've discovered a new kind of retirement blueprint. It's a blueprint that I've spent years perfecting, which I'm finally ready to reveal to you. So how does it work? My plan is designed to get your retirement on the fast track. And you probably gathered that from the real-life examples I just showed you. You're not going to make $310,000 in 9 months with a typical retirement plan, which is why I do things a little bit differently. To start, I use options. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about options, but there's one thing everyone agrees on. Options have the potential to make you rich, fast. And with a single trade, you can make 3 times, 5 times, maybe even 10 times your money practically overnight. And that makes them the perfect vehicle to jumpstart your retirement. You can capture 10 years worth of gains in just a few days. And it's true, I've done it. Take one of my Amazon recommendations, for example. A few years back, I recommended 2 trades on Amazon, a regular trade and an options play. Now, both made big gains, but the options play went up 300% in 14 days. That's 10 times as much as the regular trade in about half the time. In other words, options can make you more money much faster than regular stock trades. And that's because options give you what's known as leverage. For every 1-point move in a stock, an options play can make you 5 to even 10 times more money. All it takes is for the underlying security to move a few dollars in either direction for the options trader to make a huge windfall. And in some cases, even if it moves just 50 cents, it can still translate into 1,000% plus gain for the options holder. Isn't that incredible? I mean, think about this. It's almost impossible to make that kind of money that quickly any other way. And with my blueprint, it couldn't be easier to get started. And that's because I don't trade options like everyone else. I put my own spin on them. You see, when you use my blueprint, not only do you not have to touch stocks, you barely have to touch options either. All you have to do is trade options on 3 securities, which I'm going to reveal below. And that's it. That's my twist. You can completely forget about 99.99% of the securities on the market. You'll never have to watch CNBC again. No more scouring the internet looking for the next hot sector. You can just trade options on these 3 plays again and again. And you can make money hand over fist. I know that because I've used this kind of approach for decades to help people retire rich. In fact, for 20 years, I owned and ran an options trading money management firm. The account minimum was $250,000 in investable assets, and many of my clients had at least $1 million. And it was the only firm of its kind as far as I know. You see, much like today, the so-called experts didn't believe that you could use options to build serious wealth. And they dismissed them as some form of legalized gambling or as a way for professionals to hedge their positions. And that's all they used it for. Buy and hold was the only acceptable way to build a nest egg. But even as a young trader, I knew they were wrong. The math just didn't add up. And you can see for yourself. For the past 2 decades, the market has averaged about 4.5% returns per year. And at that rate, it would take you about 55 years to grow your wealth by 1,000%. That's 55 years. Now maybe that works if you're 20 years old, but if you're already at or near retirement age, that's not going to cut it. However, with options, you have the potential to grow your wealth 1,000% in a matter of months, weeks, maybe even days. So I decided to build my money management firm around options. And I'll tell you, I'm really glad I did. I helped one Silicon Valley executive make $500,000 in a year, and he bought a vacation home in the Sierra Nevada. A woman named Dottie Hooper was a client of mine, and she inherited a nice chunk of money after her husband passed away. I used options to ensure Dottie received $180,000 to $200,000 a year for the rest of her life. Another wealthy woman named Sarah made $120,000 in her first year, $160,000 in her second, and about $180,000 in her third year. And altogether, she made close to $1 million. As the money rolled in, word of my success started to spread. And in fact, a couple of firms offered me jobs so that I'd share my secret with them, like Payne Weber, and one of the country's largest market-making firms, which offered me a $5 million bankroll to trade with them. And I politely declined. An executive at Siebel Systems, it was a company that Oracle eventually acquired, gave me $20 million of his money to manage. Another came to me with a $30 million bankroll, and so did the managers of a $125 million pension plan. See, all of these folks generated profits to the tune of tens of millions of dollars combined. And many bought second homes in vacation spots like Tahoe. Some retired early. But here's the thing. After a few years, I kind of had a breakthrough. I discovered that I only needed to focus on a few securities at a time. I didn't have to worry about every different sector in the market, every other security, every other market for that matter. All I had to do was figure out which securities were offering what I call fast money trade setups. I would focus on these plays and trade options on them over and over again to make quick gains. Then, when the markets changed, I would find the next group of fast money securities, and so on. This was my big breakthrough, and it continues to be one of my biggest secrets to success. I use this kind of strategy almost daily in my personal portfolio, and I've used it to help those following my work to make quick, rapid-fire gains over and over again. And the results speak for themselves. Let's jump back to 2016. In my personal portfolio, I zeroed in on GDX. It's a gold mining fund. GDX is one of my favorite fast money securities. In the past, I've profited from it so many times. It tracks a basket of gold miners and it moves in big, predictable patterns. Now, over a 9-month period, I traded it 23 times. I went 22 out of 23. That's a 95% success rate, with gains like 15% in a few hours, 20% in a few hours, 23% in a few hours, 44% in 2 days, 45% in a few hours, 112% in 1 day. And the only loser was a blip, a measly 7% loss. Now, imagine what these trades could have done to your nest egg. Let's say you set aside a small amount for these GDX trade recommendations, maybe just $1,000. Then after every trade, you added your gains to the pile. And 9 months later, you could have been sitting on $55,225. Just like that, you could have grown your wealth 55 times, all from trading just one security. Isn't that incredible? Now look, I don't necessarily recommend you take that exact approach. You'd probably want to pull some money out along the way. But you get my point. You could have made a lot of money in a short amount of time, starting with just $1,000. Now that same year, I also zeroed in on Target, the retail giant. And over a 3-month period in my personal portfolio, I traded Target options every 11 days on average. And I went 8 for 8. The average gain was 30% in just 1 day. And the best trade? Well, that was 161% in 24 hours. Now, let me put that in perspective for you. At the going rate, it would take you about 25 years to get a 112% return from the S&P. I did that in 1 day. And what's more, it was a piece of cake. I didn't have to spend hours staring at my computer. I didn't have to cancel dinner plans with my wife because of some breaking news about Brexit or something like that. With my strategy, you can take advantage of it with as little as a few minutes a day. My next target was TLT. Now, most people have never heard of it. It's an exchange-traded fund that tracks treasury bonds. I went 13 for 14. That's a 93% success rate with TLT. You could have seen gains of 13% in a few hours, 15% in a few hours, 26% twice in 1 day, 31% in 1 day. Now look, I don't know you personally, but if you're like most people, you're probably not making those kinds of gains that quickly. And don't worry, you're not the only one. However, by targeting fast money trade setups, you can do it all the time. Now let's fast forward to 2017. And once again, in 2017, I zeroed in on GDX. The gold markets were being volatile as usual, so I knew GDX would be a dream. And this time, I didn't trade the security myself. What I did is I offered recommendations to those folks following my research. And once again, it worked like a charm. I recommended GDX 13 times that year, and every single one was a winner, 13 for 13. And the best ones soared. We made 25% in 22 days, 142% in 19 days, and even a 178% return in just 16 days. The average recommendation took less than a month to play out. And all told, you could have made more than 500% gains from my GDX recommendations alone. And that turns $5,000 into more than $25,000 in a very short amount of time. Now, are you starting to see why I'm so passionate about the zero stock retirement blueprint? When you use options and trade the same plays over and over again, like I recommend doing, your odds of success go way up. You start to understand how the underlying security moves. You detect patterns that you wouldn't notice otherwise. And before you know it, you could be seeing 10, 15, 20 winners in a row. And that's something that's very hard to do otherwise. Now look, it's no secret that specialization is the easiest way to boost your earnings. The bond king, Bill Gross, became a billionaire just by trading bonds. Warren Buffett became a billionaire by specializing in undervalued securities and keeping a small portfolio of the best ones. And to this day, over half of Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio is made up of just 4 stocks. Now, with my blueprint in hand, you can be a specialist too. a specialist in one of the most lucrative fields of the world. Instead of wasting your time chasing stocks you know nothing about, you can now deploy your funds in a smart, targeted fashion, and then watch the money roll in. Just look at what you could have made in 2018. Last year, I had an 8-month stretch where I targeted SPY. It's the exchange-traded fund that tracks the S&P 500, and it had an especially volatile year in 2018. And I went 9 for 10 with trades like 21% in 1 day, 64% in 6 days, and 66% in 6 days. And by comparison, if you'd simply invested in SPY the regular way for those entire 8 months, you'd have made a measly 3%. So I did 22 times better in just 6 days. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. See, I've done this again and again throughout my career in my personal portfolio. A few years back, I traded a security called VXX over a 4-month stretch in my own account. And it's one of my favorite plays during volatile markets. And this time around, it was no different. I went 17 for 17, not a single loser. And another time, I focused on an ETF called EWZ over a 3-week stretch, also in my personal account. I went 6 for 7, and the sole loser was a mere 3%. And the biggest winner was 50% in 1 day. And during one stretch in 2017, I went 6 for 7 recommending Macy's to my readers. Every winner was double digits. At another point, I went 4 for 4 recommending Target. So I hope you realize how much you can make in a year from fast, consistent trade opportunities like you've seen here. And for example, during that stretch, my best Target recommendation returned 136% in 5 days. So on an annualized basis, that's equivalent to making 9,928% in 12 months. And that's why this strategy has helped me make tens of thousands of dollars every year. But it's not just me. Those folks who are following my work have been padding their wallets as well. I've been making around $1,000 per month with just a little capital, says Paul R. $5,000 turned into $25,000 in 3 days. That came from Dale K. And Jim P says $48,000 in a matter of about a week. This is the secret to trading options. It's no more spending hours every day glued to your computer screen. No more chasing every hot trade that the talking heads on CNBC are screaming about. All you have to do is find the small handful of stocks offering fast money trade setups, and then apply my techniques. And that's it. See, the securities become like geese laying golden eggs, giving you all the money you need to retire wealthy. So which securities am I focused on right now? Here are the names of my top 3 fast money plays right now. There's the VanEck Vector Gold Miners ETF. The symbol is GDX. There's Macy's. The symbol is M. And there's Applied Optoelectronics. The symbol for that is AAOI. Now, you've already seen how powerful GDX can be. I've recommended it repeatedly to help make the folks who choose to follow my advice tens of thousands of dollars. And right now, you can use it for fast money trades too. Plus, my other 2 picks could be just as profitable. Very few people know about them, but just like GDX, they're perfect for today's market. And over the next few months, I believe you could have several opportunities to make $500, $1,000, $5,000, or more, depending on your situation, in very little time. You'll get all the details in my guide. It's called the Zero Stock Retirement Blueprint. It's available for just $1, and it'll show you exactly how to implement this plan today. Now, just to be clear, this guide is not available on Amazon or anywhere else on the web. In fact, the only way you can get it at this price is through the special offer I'm giving you today, with the full details to come. Now, why so cheap? Look, I know what it's like to struggle financially. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My dad and his dad before him were farmers. And over the years, I've helped a lot of rich people get a lot richer. But I can tell you this, it's a lot more satisfying to help everyday people get rich too. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish today. So I've made this blueprint as cheap as possible. Now in it, I give you a full breakdown of each security. I had over 5,000 stocks to choose from, but I specifically picked these 3 securities for very specific reasons. and you'll see why I believe they can make you the most money in today's market. And then I'll show you exactly how to trade options on each one. Now don't worry, it's not complicated. All you have to do is make a few mouse clicks. And finally, I'll show you how to combine these securities to potentially create a dream retirement of your own. Now I'm talking about the exact type of strategy that I've used to make tens of thousands of dollars every year. And you won't believe how easy it is. The hard part is finding the security, which I've already done for you. And I'll show you how to use them together for your chance to maximize your potential gains. And who knows, in less than 24 hours of making your first trade, you could be sitting on more than twice your money. And it's happened before. Now, of course, exactly how much money you make will be up to you. It'll depend on your individual circumstances and how much you choose to invest. But others who've come before you have made tens of thousands of dollars. I profited a net total of $12,338.17 in 14 days. That was Moe who wrote that. Made over $26,000 in 2 weeks with little risk. Came from David B. And get this, Ronnie A. tells me he made $360,000 from one trade alone. Can you imagine making that much from one trade? See, I don't know Ronnie personally, but I can tell you this. He'll never have to work another day in his life. And just remember, you only have to put a small portion of your money into these plays. And if you want, you can park 90% of your money in treasuries or another safe investment and just trade options with the other 10%. Or maybe you just want to start with 5%. It's up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. $1,000, even if it's just a few $100s, is enough to get started. After all, you could have used one of my picks, GDX, and turned $1,000 into $55,000. Now, I can't guarantee you'll see a 55 times return, but no matter how much you start with, this approach can work for you. You'll get a full breakdown in my guide, The Zero Stock Retirement Blueprint. But that's just the start. This guide is jam-packed with all kinds of bonus material, including the trading secrets I refuse to share with Wall Street. I've had more than a dozen investment banks and financial firms, including Merrill Lynch, contact me about my trading strategies. And after hearing about a few of my larger wins, they wanted to find out how I was making more money than their best guys. And in late October 2008, during one of my hot streaks, CNBC heard of the money my readers were making, and they wanted to get me to talk about it on live TV. I turned them all down. But in this guide, I'll tell you exactly how I spot a fast money trade setup and how you can do it too. The secret behind making 1,280% in 2 days. See, following the S&P 500, it could take you over 50 years to grow your wealth over 1,000%. I've done it multiple times in as little as 2 days, and I'll show you how that happens. How to profit from a market crash. When you learn how to start trading the way that I do, you won't fear market crashes anymore. In fact, you'll look forward to them. And during 2008 market crash, I had one of the best years of my career. I'll tell you how I did it, and I'll show you the best strategies to use. The 4 days a year when you can make the most money as a trader. Why you shouldn't invest money you can't afford to lose, and how to manage the inherent risks that options come with. What to do if you're forced to buy the underlying security. There's a way to spin this into a potential big gain, and I'll show you how to do that. And there's a whole lot more. It's all yours as part of this special offer. Plus, I'm also including something else you're really going to like. My video training series. One of my specialties is teaching. I was hired by a California university to teach options trading and securities analysis to MBA students. I eventually became the dean of their business school and the youngest dean in the school's history by about 20 years. And on top of that, when I ran my options trading firm, I trained over 1,000 people to become licensed stockbrokers. A number of them wound up at firms like Merrill Lynch or Payne Weber. Now, some of these folks paid thousands of dollars to hear my instruction. But today, through the 3-part video series my team and I created, you're going to get the same kind of education for free. Between the research, the production, and the manpower costs, it probably set us back about $100,000 to put this training together, but it was worth every penny. One of my readers, an executive in the financial services industry, told me that before he found me, he traded with what he called limited success. But he went on to say, your training has given me the foundation to invest with confidence and humility. Over the past year, I've been trading part-time and am able to generate over 6 figures in income. That was Jim W. And I have many more stories just like Jim's. You see, in these training videos, I walk you through everything you need to know to get started trading options the right way. How to set up an options trading account in under 5 minutes. How to make money in bull and bear markets. Frequently asked questions, and in fact 99% of your questions are going to be answered in this one. How to manage risk without eliminating your gain potential. Why options can be much better and safer than penny stocks. And there's a whole lot more. See, just keep in mind one thing. Options can be very, very easy. You can get up to speed in a matter of minutes. And if you have a brokerage account already set up, it's very easy to get approved. In most cases, you just have to fill out a one-page form. But I'm not done yet. I have one more thing I think you're really going to like. It's something I've never done before. I know what I'm telling you is probably new. If you're like most people, you've been told that options are hard. You've been told that you're not cut out for them. You've been told that you should leave them to the experts and be content to follow the market. Nothing could be further from the truth. See, you can do this, and I want to prove it to you. To that end, I've recently launched a new monthly research service. It's called Jeff Clark Trader. And in each issue, I show you how to use my zero stock retirement blueprint to get your retirement on the fast track. Every month, I'll give you my latest trading ideas, along with my full analysis. And as needed, I'll send you updates on the trade recommendations throughout the month. The aim here is to help you learn how to get maximum profits out of my top 3 security picks. I'll focus on them for the next few months, and then once their fast money window closes, I'll jump to 3 new ones. And we'll do this again and again, month after month for the next year. Obviously, past performance doesn't guarantee future returns. And obviously, there's no such thing as a risk-free investment, and that includes my strategy. But I'm proud to say that those who've joined me are already telling me how much they enjoy my ideas. Just joined your Jeff Clark Trader last month with a lifetime subscription. Today I closed out the GDX call option you recommended for a 150% gain in less than 3 weeks. Thanks, and keep up the great work. That was Thomas M. Hi Jeff, I joined your service less than a week ago and have just sold half of my first trade. Bought it at 59 cents and sold for $1.48. I believe that would add up to a 235% gain. It's not bad for a first trade. Thank you, and please keep them coming. That's Medhat D. I'm thrilled that people are profiting from my work, but I can't say that I'm surprised. See, after all, I've built my personal portfolio around this kind of targeted approach. It's my favorite way to trade, and it's by far the safest and easiest way I know of to grow your wealth quickly. And furthermore, those who followed my other research services in the past have seen equally good results. In fact, just based on what my subscribers have told me in emails, I've helped them make a fortune. Like William, who's seen his portfolio increase by about $250,000, thanks in large part to my work. And Edward, who made a net gain of $192,252 in a year. I'm sure that if I were able to get a full accounting from every subscriber that I've had, the combined profits would be in the tens of millions of dollars. Which is why people have happily paid thousands to gain access to my insights and my strategies. However, I've arranged for you to pay a very small fraction of that. If you act today, you can get a 1-year subscription for just $18. Add in the dollar cost of my blueprint, which is not available anywhere else as a standalone guide, and we're talking about $19 total. Well, that's it. So here's a recap of everything you'll get right now for $19. 1 full year of Jeff Clark Trader. As a new subscriber, you'll receive your first set of fast money trade recommendations immediately. And they're ready to go. As soon as you join, they'll be sent to your inbox in just a few minutes. Then, around the 3rd Thursday of the month, you'll receive my next series of trade plays. And keep in mind, I'm looking for the fastest, lowest risk trade opportunities that I can find. And these don't always happen according to schedule. So the recommendations may not always come out on that exact day. They may come a day or two before, or maybe a day or two afterwards. But either way, each recommendation will give you the chance at a quick windfall. You'll get my special report, the Zero Stock Retirement Blueprint. You'll get my 3-part video training series. Altogether, this is a total value of nearly $900, and it's all yours for just $19. And there's only one catch. This deal will likely not be available at this low price for very long. You see, this is what they call the doorbuster price. The only reason we're offering it is because we recently launched this service. And it's important to me personally to help as many folks as I can right out of the gate. So very soon, the price is likely going to be a lot higher. And one of my research services retails for $5,000. So if you want to lock in this incredible deal, I need to hear from you right away. Of course, you're 100% protected by my 60-day guarantee. I'm happy to say that most of my subscribers love my research, and I get positive feedback literally every day. However, if for some reason you find it's just not for you, that's okay. Just call our customer service team within the next 60 days and they'll give you a full refund. And to make it fairer than fair, I'll let you keep my blueprint with no questions asked. In other words, I'll take the risk. Just remember, you have very little time to lock in this special deal. Now to get started, just click on the button below. You'll be taken to a secure order form, and within minutes you can have my first recommendations in your inbox.